I'm Tamara, Master Health Coach, and I specialize in helping people to improve their health through all sorts of means, not just fitness and nutrition that are pretty traditional. I don't want to be limited to food and exercise. So today I'm joined by a wonderful coach, Virginia, from Ethically Inclined
Yeah,
Wellness.
I'm Virginia, and I'm founder of Ethically Inclined Wellness. I am a certified wellness coach, but my focus is teaching, mentoring in self-collaboration, which I believe is a foundational part of sustainable wellness. I am really passionate about teaching people from my training and also my lived experience.
We connected over this shared belief that wellness has a lot to do with self-respect. The way that we treat ourselves shouldn't be shaped by someone else's ideas, opinions, how we should look, what we should do, what we should eat, and so on. We both agree that wellness is, in a broad sense, is a lot more than just food and exercise.
You can't fit it in a box.
And sometimes non-traditional remedies, I guess, could be a way to go for someone who is not interested in traditional ways.
Right, exactly.
So let's talk today about the effects that nature does have on the brain, because now there is some body of research appearing in literature
Yeah.
about quantitative effects of nature on cognitive mental function. But also, let's talk about how people who don't have forest in their backyard can bring nature to them in an affordable and reachable ways.
Right.
Last week was really hard for me. I had to glue myself to the laptop. By 4 o'clock, I was fried. My brain was not able to do anything meaningful anymore. This week, my husband is out of town, so I am responsible for taking the dog out. These little walks, even 5-minute walks around the block and in the woods, they were able to reset my brain. When I was back from the walk, the brain felt unclenched.
Yeah.
Like I can start doing something productive
Mhm.
finally. Do you have similar effects
Yeah.
of nature on you?
Yeah, absolutely. And it does give new meaning to a breath of fresh air, doesn't it?
Oh, it totally does.
But with just regular everyday stress, I think we have a tendency to push through it. I know I do.
Mhm.
And I often have to pull myself back in little ways. And like today being that it was trash day, I take my trash out to the curb. But honestly, if I just make sure to stay out there a few extra minutes and take a few deep breaths,
Yeah, just a little bit.
yeah, just like micro moments with nature, with my pal nature. It quiets down the static, it softens the noise, and it does make a huge difference when you stack up those little moments like that. You can kind of weaving things in like that to your normal routine makes just such a huge impact. Definitely.
Yeah, I totally agree. And so many people, when you say, oh, nature is good for you, a lot of people has this picture in their heads of hiking mountains or going, I don't know, kayaking. So thinking full day adventure kind of things.
Right.
But it's not that. I totally agree that even just looking out of the window, having some greenery in front of you can do some good for your mental state as well.
Right, absolutely. I think that just reminding people about the accessibility of nature is super important because it's not that far out of reach if we think about it.
One of the biggest pieces of research that I ran into at some point was research about attention restoration theory. There were a couple of researchers, literally a married couple, who came up with the theory that nature has a power of restoring attention. The idea here is that our attention can be either directed, the one that we voluntarily focus on something, or involuntarily. Involuntary attention happens when there is some danger. For example, if we're walking and there's a loud noise, until we figure out that it's not dangerous for us, our attention will be linked to the source of the noise. This is involuntary attention. And directed attention, it's something that we make ourselves focus on. And the supply of this directed attention is limited. And a lot of our issues with mental health and productivity in life has to do with how we spend directed attention, how much we have left. Attention restoration theory is based upon the hypothesis that being in nature allows us to let go of directed attention while being, how they call it, softly fascinated
Like that.
by nature.
Hmm.
Because, like, involuntary attention is divided in two groups as well. Like, one is harsh fascination, it's the signals of danger that consume all our attention, all our focus. And soft fascination, it's when, yes, we notice things like light coming through the leaves, bird song, or water falling. But at the same time, we are capable of keeping daydreaming, having our thoughts. So it's not all consuming.
Yeah.
So the theory says that being in nature helps us restore our storage of directed attention
Mhm.
while being softly fascinated.
I love that. And, it's directly affecting our nervous system, no? Right?
For
Yeah,
sure.
I was thinking that there is there is this reaction that we have when we go out into nature or experience anything from our natural world, and our body reacts like this is where I'm supposed to be. There is the opportunity for connection there. I think it's our choice to grab it, but it's there already. As you described, there is definitely a built-in relaxation response when we are experiencing nature. Have you ever gone on a short walk and your breathing changes in such subtle ways, or your shoulders drop? It's just a natural reaction that we experience when we engage with nature in those ways, and it lowers blood pressure and heart rate. And I think I've seen some studies or some experiments when people are checking those vitals as they are
Mhm.
doing a walk or doing something relaxing like that. And it's definitely very effective.
I think there is a lot of research behind green and blue spaces in general.
Mhm.
As far as I understand, the fact that our livelihood as species depended on greenery and water,
Mhm.
so blue and green, the brain rewards us for being in green and blue spaces
Mhm.
just because our life depended on it.
Right.
We still need water, and everything that we were able to find for food came from green spaces.
Mhm.
So it's programmed into our brain to get pulled towards green and blue.
Yeah, I think it's definitely something that we need to encourage, at least making those intentional choices, because it's actually a tool, having nature around us. But, it's so easy to get pulled away from that with all the technology and everything that we have, and forget that it's a necessity, but it's very available to us as well.
Coming back to attention restoration theory, why our attention is in such a big deficiency right now, it's because all the modern technology does overtax the directed
It
attention.
does.
All the notifications, ads, lights, everything that pops up,
Hmm.
all of these
Yeah.
instances tax our attention a little bit. But there's so many occasions that every beat of attention that we pay for every notification, blink, and billboard that we pass on the road, it all taxing. And even if you drop the technology piece, navigating streets with all the cars, with all the people, it takes a lot of attention. And not to mention our daily tasks
Or
for
family members.
family members, children,
Yeah, pet.
dogs.
Exactly.
We don't really have too many moments throughout the day where we don't need to focus on something.
Yes.
When you know that your attention has a budget, you have a daily budget of directed attention. You can spend it all out in like first 2 hours of a day. And what do you do then? You still need to complete your tasks. So restoring this budget, getting some of this
Yeah,
resource replenished is crucial.
right. I guess we could think about it as just like recharging our battery. I was also thinking about the way that we view nature as extractive versus reciprocal. Meaning that a lot of times we are thinking of nature as, okay, there's this huge mountain nearby us, and it's a great backdrop for a lot of people. There's great views up there, and that's fantastic. But a lot of times that's the goal of getting out there on that mountain, having nature as a pretty backdrop or just somewhere where you can pull from it.
So you're saying that we're using nature as the demonstration of our achievements?
Yes, in some cases. And we have this relationship with nature that's very one-sided. So if we think about it with a perspective of, I guess, reciprocity there, and recognizing that nature is also there to care for us and help us regulate our nervous system, that can really enhance the experiences that we have with nature. Even if we break it down to some green space in our own homes, there are some gorgeous plants that are great to have at home. Let me see. Aha. Exactly.
Right here.
On one hand, building up that little greenhouse by your window is wonderful, but rather than just having it almost like a little pretty picture, a gallery of sorts, just reminding ourselves, what is this doing for my space? What is this doing in here for my nervous system? Do I need to care for these plants as well? Because they are, in fact, caring for me. I
Mhm.
strongly believe that the perspective that we take with nature, all things nature, does really affect our experience. And that's just something to think about. Sometimes it's just in situations like that where you're like, I have this goal, I'm going to make it up there, I'm going to get that shot. The journey is lost.
The journey is lost. Yes, I agree. And I think that the same goes for walking somewhere and noticing an animal crossing the path. And you're taking this picture to show on social media to get likes and following
Mhm.
instead of actually appreciating the miracle of nature that is right in front of you.
Right, exactly.
I came from Siberia
Uh-huh.
and I never had turtles crossing sidewalks in my
Uh-huh.
neighborhood. Every time I see a turtle, a fox
Mhm.
running around, we have foxes here, or deer.
Yeah.
It's just this moment of awe.
Yeah. Oh my gosh. Something to be said about the awe that just even in small doses that comes from nature.
I'm a bookworm, so another book
Hmm.
is Awe by Detcher Keltner.
Hmm.
He's also a researcher, and he did research the awe effects of nature and what it does to the brain and the sense of wonder and depression and anxiety, because the moment we start experiencing awe
Yeah.
and wonder,
Hmm.
we get this different perspective on the world.
Hmm.
Like our problems and challenges that we're facing in this perspective of the vast expanse of the world become really small. So we don't view our challenges as that all-consuming huge drama anymore when we're able to experience awe.
Good. Okay, I'm glad I said something because other people may be interested in what that book has to offer. Now you've shared. Basically, what do you think are some of the issues people are having taking time in nature or even attempting to see what nature has to offer when it comes to stress, relaxation?
Well, I guess one of the main things is that we don't know about the benefits of the nature.
Mhm.
So we underappreciate this tool because we have no idea about the benefits that it's bringing.
Yeah.
And as an illustration, the new book that I am very happy about, it's Nature and the Mind, written by Mark Berman. He is an environmental neuroscientist from University of Chicago.
Okay.
And he did this fantastic research in the beginning of 2000s that is called Walk in the Park. So they were testing how much attention nature is actually capable of restoring. The researchers would offer their participants the sequence of numbers, and the participants were expected to repeat them back in a backward order.
Right.
And even with 3 numbers like 5, 7, 8, you have to repeat it 8, 7, 5.
Okay.
It takes a lot of focus and working memory and all the executive function from the brain. But when it came to 5 numbers in the sequence, people were starting pulling their hair off. And researchers tried to get the number up to 9 digits.
Okay.
So really, really taxing. And then they will send their participants on a walk. Half of the participants would take a walk in the park, and the other half would take a walk in the urban area. Same distance, same timing, but the ones who came back from the walk in nature demonstrated a 20% increase in their cognitive capacity.
No, that's really
It's
huge.
huge. And another interesting part about this research was that it didn't matter if the participants actually enjoyed their walk. Sometimes it was snowy, sometimes it was cold and windy, sometimes it was rainy or freaking hot. But the people who went to the nature demonstrated the same cognitive benefits, regardless whether or not it had improved their mood. So yes, if you want to enjoy the walk, it's one piece. But even for people who don't like nature, who don't enjoy being in nature, they will still get cognitive benefits.
Wow. Yeah. So you're just going to absorb the benefits regardless. Who wouldn't want
Regardless.
that?
Yeah.
You know?
So when you were mentioning the barriers for people to get into nature, some people really don't like it.
Right.
And people have their reasons.
Yeah.
The upbringing, whatever nature is available to them.
Yeah.
I totally get it. Again, I'm from Siberia. Getting out in the middle of winter is an ordeal,
Right.
to some extent. Or when there are swamps of mosquitoes or other bugs. There are people who are terrified of bugs, and it's okay. But knowing that you still can get benefits for your cognitive function and executive function is a great thing.
Yeah, absolutely. And for those people who might feel like I don't have nature around me, or I don't like the heat, it's too hot. Yeah, forget about nature. I'll find something else. If that's the attitude, I think it's probably a good idea to offer this. It's not always what you might think. It's not always get your sneakers on, get your hiking boots on, get your workout gear on. It doesn't even have to be all that. Earlier, when I was pointing out that just sticking around outside for a few extra minutes when I took out my trash actually did have an effect on just cooling down my stress, my racing thoughts. So literally, even if I am to just walk in front of the biggest window in my house where the sunlight does pour in for a few hours a day, it's a really good window for that. Just absorbing that, just standing there and just doing nothing for a few minutes in front of that window, honestly, that does something. And I don't think that we need to have that all or nothing view when it comes to nature, because it doesn't have to be a whole project.
It doesn't. And you're absolutely right. Like, you figured it out from your own experience, but there is actually some science backing it up. Because the same team of researchers with Mark Berman were able to prove that even looking at pictures of nature, not even real plants,
Right.
pictures of nature were able to have some effect on cognitive function as well. Not as big as the real thing.
Right. But
The difference is there, but there was still some effect. And listening to bird song recordings or recordings of waterfalls And just watching some Discovery Channel, that had an effect on cognitive and mental health for people as well.
Mhm.
I think I told you this story at some point that my daughter helps herself to fall asleep turning on
Nature
nature
sounds,
sounds.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
And we have done the same thing in my household because we have a little machine with all kinds of different lullabies and
Mm-hmm.
sounds. But
Mm-hmm.
we've definitely used the rain quite a bit, just
Uh-huh.
like gentle rainstorm and
Yeah.
and also ocean waves. But all of those things do matter, so we can't discount them. It's not really taking anything away from us if we just choose to get those, even the smallest of doses, because they do add up.
I totally understand that for many people, accessibility of nature is not as high. There are big cities where there's just no greenery.
Right.
There's stone jungle,
Mm-hmm.
and everything you see from your window is the wall of the next building.
Mm-hmm.
There are neighborhoods where going for walks doesn't feel very safe, and it's not going to be a restorative experience if you are worried that you're going to get mugged at the park. So definitely, no bueno. I totally get it. But there are smaller ways to, if you can't get yourself out in nature, you can bring nature in.
Right.
And it does work with house plants,
Mm-hmm.
like strategically located plants around your working space or bedroom do have measurable effects on mental health. It's relatively easy. And again, even fake plants does have it,
No, wait, I didn't know
which is
that.
fascinating.
I
Yeah.
didn't realize that actually. Huh, interesting.
Yeah, it's something I recently learned and I was astonished, to be honest, because I thought, well, fake plants are like, but no,
Okay.
apparently even fake plants trigger the same associations in our brain
Uh-huh.
that we are in our native environment, it's good for us. So again, coming back to this green
Yeah.
spaces, our brain rewards us for being around something green,
All right. So
even if it's fake.
if you don't have a green thumb, if you don't want to mess with the plant care, then there's still something out there for you.
Yeah.
That's
So
awesome.
fake plants, recording of birdsong or waterfalls like nature sounds, pictures of nature, videos of nature, they all have some effect. They are not as dramatic as the real thing.
Mhm.
So getting out there have a lot more
Yeah,
benefits. But if it's inaccessible, you still can have it in your
right.
toolbox.
Those things are all good entry points. If you're somebody who's been shutting yourself in for way too long and you don't want to just rip off the band-aid, those are great entry points.
So, what is your go-to natural remedy for yourself? Like, what practices do you have?
I would say, because this is honestly the easiest for me, really just utilizing all my senses no matter where I am. When I'm outside, if I just consciously take a moment to notice, what am I hearing? What am I seeing? What
Hmm.
am I feeling? Smelling, and honestly, even tasting, like just the air. Using that time, however short or long, it does change my demeanor, it does change my breathing. And it's something that, even if I am trying, which this happens often, I'm here while my kids are at school and I'm trying to get a lot of tasks done. If I'm getting up, say after a little bit of time sitting here working, and just stepping outside to drink some water, I'll do it outside and I'll use my senses and I'll just be there. Just 2 to 5 minutes even. And that is my go-to. What is yours?
I love it. And what you're describing is literally a walk-in meditation. It's another practice that is my go-to.
Okay.
And it's my go-to with clients as well. I remember last year I was on the phone with my client who was in acute distress. I'm like, okay, you know what? Can you just step outside, put your sneakers on, and I'll walk you through this practice. And what we did while she was walking, I asked her to pay attention and notice everything of color yellow, then color red. And it just turns your senses on,
Yes.
visual first.
Hmm.
And then we did focus on the feeling of the air on the skin, the temperature, how the clothes is feeling, the feeling of your feet walking on the ground, how they contact with the ground. Then smell. So we went over all the senses, and it just helps you to redirect attention. Again, we're coming back to attention from whatever is stressing you out to just your body. It is a walking meditation
Hmm.
practice, and it helps tremendously to calm down the stress and redirect attention.
No, that's a really good recurrent theme. I think it's so important right now because the lack of focus that I have felt just even in the past few years alone and working on ways to regain focus has been a big part of my life, to be honest with you.
Yeah.
So, with, as you said before, notifications, demands from other people, in my case, really small people, and it's more important than ever. Yeah, we can keep talking about attention all day long.
Yeah, and I think it's important to point out that even in traditional sense of wellness, or what we are habitually think wellness is, like our nutrition, weight management, it all has to do with attention
Mhm.
as well as our mental state, because attention and what we choose to pay attention to shapes how we view our life.
Right.
With the same event, we can choose to remember negative sides of it, or we can choose to consciously pay attention to what good happened during this event and remember these portions. And in the end of the day, that's how we feel about the day, month, year,
Mhm.
our whole life. By directing our focus, we choose the narrative of our life.
Right.
And it's huge, it's so profound. That's why I think that attention piece is so important.
Mhm.
And even on a smaller scale, right? I think a lot of us feel that in the evening, in the end of the day, when we are drained and tired, it's a lot harder to make better choices. It's a lot harder to kick ourselves out of the house and do the workouts
Yes.
in the
Yes.
evening. It's a lot harder to make better choices in the kitchen,
Hmm.
like eat a salad instead of a candy bar.
Hmm.
And it's all about attention too, because our impulsive behaviors, like, oh, I see a cookie, I'm grabbing it. It's an impulse, and it's all about attention, because if we are capable of redirecting our attention and remembering that, oh, I actually have a goal of managing my weight or sugar levels or whatever,
Hmm.
then we are able to behave healthier.
Right.
So
Absolutely.
attention is linked to our health behaviors, even on this direct level.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. And I think we both believe in sustainable wellness practices that can stay with you. This is one of those things because if we're looking for long-term ways of managing our weight, getting that movement, taking care of our bodies in a physical sense as far as movement, exercise, those things can be done. Now, they can be done quickly. They can be done quickly and maybe last a few weeks, a few months, or we can find ways of maintaining those practices and those things in the long term, but it does have to do directly with these underlying factors like our attention and using things like our senses and nature, and all those other things matter. And for those looking for sustainable solutions and wellness, this is just conversations that we need to have.
We can't rely on willpower for sustainable change
Mhm.
at all, ever, because willpower is a very limited resource.
Mhm.
And we need to spend it on so many things that our health, that often left on the back burner for many people,
Yeah,
we just don't have enough to spend on low priority things,
right.
as we assume the health is oftentimes.
And when that gets left on the back burner, the truth is it does affect everything else. It's like dominoes.
Everything
Because I
else.
mean, sure,
Absolutely.
you can still go to your job and you can still go out and have relationships and socialize and you can still do the things. However, how much can you really enjoy those things, or how's your energy during everything else in life if health and wellness is left back there? It's going to really cut down how much we really enjoy the things that we do every day. My thing has always been to find ways of enhancing everything that we're doing in life because we're here to live and I want to be my best
Not just survive.
energy, increase that capacity rather than, okay, another day. Gotta get up and do this. Gotta get up and do that. And there's no energy whatsoever. Maintaining our health and wellness is really key to elevating everything else.
Yes, I agree. Because if we want to jump out of survival mode ever,
Mhm.
we can survive for so long. We're so resilient, like human species. We can do it forever. But is it worth it?
Is it?
Yeah.
That's, I mean, that's a individual choice for all of us, but I know what I choose.
Yeah, I definitely would love to have a more fulfilled life rather than just check in another day.
Right, exactly. In closing, something to remember, the small doses count. Nature is not an all or nothing thing.
Yeah, I think that if you think of wellness as something beyond the lack of illness, we are healthy when we are not sick,
Mm-hmm.
right?
Mm-hmm.
But wellness goes beyond this, on this continuum from being sick to actually thriving. My mission is to help people to move on along this continuum to get past the 0 point of, okay, I'm not sick, I'll take that. I survived, check, good. No, let's go beyond
Yeah.
that. Let's actually start enjoying life. And there are so many tools outside of physical and even mental
Mm-hmm.
that can bring us closer,
Mm-hmm.
further along this continuum. And nature is one of
Yes.
them. Exposure to nature is one of
Mm-hmm.
them. And I totally agree that we don't need all or nothing. We don't need to start living out of a camp.
Right.
Having a house plant, even a fake one,
Yes.
can do the trick to some extent. And there are also plenty of other resources that we may not think of as health enhancing. And I'm excited for our next talk about social
Mm-hmm.
health, like how our social circle and environment affects our overall health and life.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm looking
I'm
forward for this conversation
I'm
too.
looking forward to that too.
Today we covered the physical environment, and next time we will dive into social environment,
Mm-hmm.
which is also a very
Just
fun
in
topic.
just in time for holidays.
Hmm. Just in time when we have to
Right.
socialize a lot. Do we want it or not?
Thank you
Okay.
so much for talking to me about this today.
Yeah, thank you, Virginia. It was great conversation. So
Absolutely.
hopefully we'll see you again.
Thank you.